Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to turn my attention to the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. This has been a watershed year for sport in Trinidad and Tobago. There are many who say, well, we didn't medal at the World Championship. Yes, there are older crop of athletes who have been around longer. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we performed outstandingly at the CAC Games. We performed outstandingly at the Commonwealth Youth Games. And I say it's a watershed year because we're seeing new athletes, young, fresh athletes, blazing a trail and making their mark and making their names in their respective discipline. As I speak today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to salute all the athletes who performed, those who medaled and those who didn't medal at the Commonwealth Youth Games, at the CAC Games, and the many different international competitions and leagues that took place this year. I want to especially recognize athletes like Dylan Carter, Nicholas Paul, blazing a trail in cycling, the only one of his kind from the English-speaking Caribbean, Kwesi Brown, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to salute young Nikolai Black, Junior World Champion of the world, Mr. Deputy Speaker, coming from little Trinidad and Tobago. I want to salute athletes like Zarek Wilson, and I want to salute and recognize in tennis we have little Miss Campbell Smith blazing her own trail and making Trinidad and Tobago proud. So it's a young, new, fresh crop of athletes who are out there shining their light and making the world know the better part of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I salute the national governing bodies who are doing amazing work with our youngster, from Sandra Johnson in chess, taking chess into the different schools and into the communities. Sandra Johnson, the president of Trinidad and Tobago Chess Association, took chess into the prison system of Trinidad and Tobago, and our female prisoners were ranked in number 1, 2, and 3 in the world in those types of competition. And that is what it's all about. It's about maximizing the full potential of sport, utilizing sport to help to develop better students, to develop better communities, and to touch the lives of many of our residents throughout Trinidad and Tobago. There has also been a shift where we as government have directed much of our funding to community sports. We are partnering hand in hand with community groups to deliver football leagues, community cricket leagues, you name it, Sport and Family Day. You have groups like GT Fitness doing amazing work in communities like Maloney, and they're heading to Tobago soon, Mr. Deputy Speaker. You have Santa Cruz. There's a football club in Santa Cruz also doing outstanding work. I worked with member Rambali, with a group in Chaguanas, and they are utilizing sport to lift and to build new cricketers and instill new good values in these youngsters through sport. So that is what it's all about, utilizing sport as a tool to build and to lift, to unite, to improve capacity, to enhance the development of our people. And that's what it's all about, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Tobago Youth Football League, Oceanos what do you call it, power, they did the canoeing, the rowing, and so on. They went abroad and they won in their category, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So we're doing a lot of work with communities. It's not always about winning medals and going to the Olympics, but utilizing sport as a tool for development, for transformation, for touching hearts and changing lives in a positive way, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Over the last fiscal year, our total contribution to national governing bodies, to individual athletes, to community groups, and so on, has been at least $70 million directly into the hands of our athletes and into the hands of our national governing bodies in hosting sporting activities nationally, regionally, and internationally, bringing the world to Trinidad and Tobago. We've ramped up our efforts in physical projects. Now you can speak to swimming pools in areas like Maloney, in Mova, in Sogrin Trace, Laventille, and we are building one right now in Malabar. The Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force is working hand in hand with the Ministry of Sport and Community Development to bring services to our youngsters, to train them. Right now we have work taking place at, we've completed phase 1 in Diego Martin. In Coquille, you have the schools in the south using the pools in Coquille. We've done phase 1 work in Siparia. And as we go into the new year, we received the report from the specialist engineer as it relates to the swimming pool in Couva. We received the report at the end of July, and the scope of works would be passed, I think it's around the 16th of October, and then we go out to tender towards fixing the problem at the Couva swimming pool. And we go from communities to community, developing southern This year we'll see the refurbishment of indoor facilities like St. Paul, southern indoor facilities, southeastern indoor facility, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's about bringing sports into each and every community, promoting sport for all, working with community groups, working with the Defence Force to develop sports throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We've refurbished the Hazley Crawford Stadium for the Commonwealth Youth Games. Hazley Crawford Stadium, which had been left to run down year after year, administration after administration. It took this government to do it. We are going to be refurbishing the Jean Pierre Complex in this fiscal year. Manny Ramjohn Stadium and Larry Gomes, we're starting with the lighting and then doing the other works during this fiscal year. Works have already started at the Atto Bolden Stadium, where they are refurbishing the field and doing some structural work also. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's about utilizing the facility not only for those communities, but to promote Trinidad and Tobago as a hub for sport tourism in the region. If our facilities are up to standard and we encourage our national governing bodies to invite more and more persons and groups to come to do these different tournaments and so on, we'll be a better place, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's about providing opportunities for our athletes, for our officials, putting Trinidad and Tobago on the map, because these same athletes and their parents would come back another time to experience Carnival, to experience the Tobago heritage. Commonwealth Youth Games, we hosted for the first time in Trinidad and Tobago, the first time in the Caribbean, and it was a resounding success. The president of the Commonwealth Games Federation said it's the best youth games that she has ever seen. And this was the 7th Youth Games, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The government made an investment of $35 million in that project, and so far the TTOC has spent about $27 million, and their bills are still coming in until we get to the $35 million. In Tobago alone, we spent at least $8 million in the hands of hoteliers to house these people for Commonwealth Youth Games. So it's all about, and that's funded by central government. It's bringing business to economic activity to Trinidad and Tobago, putting heads in beds, providing opportunities for all people to benefit from the goodness and the greatness of sport. We've also hosted this year different tournaments in tennis, whether it's the Davis Cup, American Group 4, the ITF COTEC. We hosted the Archery Federation just last week in Tobago. They had a conference for the Americas. We hosted Caribico in badminton at the National Racket Center. The list goes on and on. We also did some CONCACAF games here in Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's about expanding new horizons for all youngsters, for all people, for the development of Trinidad and Tobago. Our sporting programs continue. Pink Rain campaign promoting women and girls in sports. We have Girls Run TT taking place as we speak, where we sponsored over 300 girls to get up and move and make 282 miles between March to the 30th of September. We're working with BAFA Sports in doing and national governing bodies in introducing chair, dance, karate, and these different sporting disciplines to women and girls. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we worked with the Jamaican government this year and more specifically with GC Foster, towards improving our delivery of sport in schools. They provided training for us, they provided technical assistance to us, and I really want to salute Miss Babsy Grange, Olivia Babsy Grange, Minister of Sport from Jamaica. She has welcomed us with open arms to see what they're doing in Jamaica, and we're now working hand in hand to develop our school system in athletics in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to express sincerest condolences to the GC Foster family on losing Mr. Gibbs Williams, who was one of the key architects in developing the training program for Trinidad and Tobago. They sent to us in the July-August period 10 technical staff to work with 65 of our sporting technical people in Trinidad and Tobago to provide support to the schools. He was shot last week Friday, and the sporting fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago extend our deepest sympathy to the government and the people of Jamaica. I want to move swiftly to community.
Honourable Member, your initial speaking time has elapsed. You have an additional 10. You care to avail yourself?
Yes, please.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to move quickly to community development. Community development is a very important part, or has been a very important part of our government framework since our inception. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Dr. the Honorable Eric Williams saw community development as a fundamental part of our development as a people, and found ways to develop that ministry and build community centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if you search up the Caribbean, I'm sure you'll find that Trinidad and Tobago has the most community centers in the Caribbean. We boast of over 300 centers. And when these centers were set up, the intention was to empower the community so that they can earn their own income and pay their own bills and do their own refurbishment and so on of the community centers. Mr. Deputy Speaker, unfortunately, here we are 60-something years later, and the ministry is still covering the full bill. We continue to work with village councils, we continue to work with community groups towards establishing self-sufficiency. But I must say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's an uphill task. This year we trained 6,984 persons in our short skills program, whether it's in making oils, soaps, bread, giving them different skills so that they can go out there and establish their own businesses, so that they can improve their hobbies and work towards self-sufficiency. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that has been a resounding success. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have with these hands where we help some of these persons to develop their own businesses and even give them seed funding so that they can start up. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Export Centers Company, which falls under the ministry's remit, they work to help our artisans get on the international market. We've developed Craft Hub TT and Parlor TT to provide something like Amazon that allows them to put their products online to sell to people in the diaspora and those who are willing to purchase. We've established a new community development policy where we work with private sector companies like Digicel and NGC to bring community projects from the ground up in different communities. In Bozejo, Patna, we delivered the dirt oven, and they are building a tourism project around that. In Marabella, we deliver the ICT center. We work with Digicel also to deliver ICT centers in areas like Maracas, and there are many other programs or projects that are coming, working hand in hand with the private sector and the community, just like, for instance, a fish fry project in Marabella and so on. This year we celebrated 60 years of the Prime Minister's Best Village competition, and we saw over 200 groups from the 10 different districts come out to support. We had over 980 Junior Best Village campers. We had 38 queens enter the Laren Rivet competition, and that has been a success also. However, we all know that Best Village is not what it used to be. In the month of November, we start consultations in Tobago, in North and South Trinidad, towards getting feedback from Best Village fraternity towards improving. CRC projects, community recovery projects, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is a project of is a program of this government where we're working with specific communities to improve their standard of living and how they see life. Empower TT, we work specifically with young men, teaching them life skills, exposing them to different skills and the world of work. This year we worked with over 300 young men from different communities, particularly East Port of Spain, Arima, Tobago, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and we're going to have that program again in this fiscal year. The Youth Lead Project, we give internships to youngsters from these troubled communities, expose them to the world of work, and give them a startup to start their own business and get back to school and so on. As I close, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank all our stakeholders because it truly takes a village. So whether it's YTEP, Digicel, AFET, Bankers Association, teaching our residents in our communities how to manage money and so on, we've been working with a number of different groups and agencies to empower and educate Trinbagonians, and I want to thank them all because it takes a village. As we close, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I say again, these fiscal measures mean nothing if we cannot carry ourselves properly and generate and promote a culture of love and unity in Trinidad and Tobago, if we can't keep the peace in our communities, if we can't carry ourselves as upstanding, honorable members, if we're still in this day and age bringing truckloads of people out in front of the parliament to strike and line them up along racial and ethnic lines, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are in a sad, sad place, and no budget could save us. No budget could save us if that is the attitude. We on this side will continue to do our work. It's about building a nation. It's about providing opportunities for each and every Trinbagonian, where every creed and race find an equal place. And you would hear from every member, we deliver projects and programs to benefit each and everybody. We don't go out there and say this is for PNM, or this is for Indian, or this is for African. The People's National Movement has always been a rally for all. It has been so since inception, it is so today, and no amount of hatred and nastiness from anybody, opposite or otherwise, could stop that. We are a love party, and this is where the love is. And Trinidad and Tobago could continue to rest and rely on the People's National Movement for intelligent leadership and for fairness and for proper representation, because we serve a good people, and good people deserve good representation. And you will find that in the People's National Movement. One more time, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I heard the members from Superior tell the people of this country that, oh, now, in order to see them, you had to buy a ticket for $1,500 to go to Hyatt. Pouncing on our fundraising event to raise funds for our party. We raise funds for our party, honestly and earnestly. And I know no other representatives that walk their constituencies like we do. We are in our constituency day to day, week to week, seeing, serving, loving, touching people, and to try to create this impression that we are out of touch and out of reach. Those who know us know us. And that is why they vote for us over and over again. And there are those who say we lost here and we lost there. But at the end of the day, it's not about the next election, but the next generation. And we will continue to make the hard decisions and take the necessary action to lift all of Trinidad and Tobago as a country I love. You could find that in the People's National Movement. And I can rest easy knowing that as we show up each day to cabinet, to parliament, we are doing what's in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago, no matter how they paint us. In the end, nothing wrong though lasts long, as Miss Beard from Boko told me. And all that they're trying to do to overturn and to wreak havoc in this country, everything in the dark would come to light. Half of them before the police and facing the courts, Mr. Deputy Speaker. You don't find that over here. And we will continue to raise up that standard in this country, because we are held to a different standard. We are the People's National Movement. We're not afraid of that. And we will continue to live and govern this country with a standard that the people could depend and rely on us. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank you for my time spent here. Let's keep the fire burning. Let's make the change that we want to see in Trinidad and Tobago, and continue to love and lift our constituents as what we want Trinidad and Tobago to be. Mr. President, with that, I thank you.